chemical engineering with coffee. I'll have you introduce yourself. This is our instructor, Dr. Jason White, who teaches as an associate professor for chemical engineering.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, everyone. As Katie said, my name is Jason White, and I am a professor in the chemical engineering department. And I'm excited to talk to you a little today about our pre-college summer program called Chemical Engineering with Coffee. So I have a few slides prepared. I'm going to pull those up right now. Give me 1 second. And let me go full screen with us. All right, Katie, can you see my full screen presentation? All right. So maybe the first question you might have is, what does chemical engineering have to do with coffee, right? And chemical engineers, generally what we do is we design ways to take raw materials and turn them into more valuable products. So in this coffee process, we're looking at taking raw coffee beans and turning them into that delicious cup of coffee. And even the process to get the raw coffee beans themselves is incredibly complicated and awesome process. And so chemical engineers historically are associated with the petrochemical industry, but modern day chemical engineering is incredibly diverse. We like to pride ourselves for taking on some of society's really significant problems right now and making more energy efficient processes, developing the alternative energy structure, food, water, automation, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics. And to kind of get into that, we found coffee to be a really awesome way to teach chemical engineering principles to a general audience. And so these kind of maybe complicated sounding subjects, transport phenomena, thermodynamics, kinetics, these are the cornerstones of chemical engineering. But all these things dealing with the transport of heat and fluids and mass and heat and its relation to energy and work and reactions, these are all crucial in designing that awesome tasting cup of coffee. And so if you enroll in our program, you're going to taste at a very basic level of all of these things and how they relate to coffee. So this process that goes from these raw coffee beans to that cup of coffee, there are actually a number of what we call in my discipline unit operations that go into that. And so kind of the key ones you see here, roasting the coffee, storing it, and over that time, there are more chemical reactions take place during this off-gassing process, grinding it, and think about you can control the grind size, and then the extraction or the brewing process. And so you get a chance in this course to actually experiment with all these different unit operations and find out how they play into the taste of the coffee. You're going to think about the energy that's involved, and you'll see in a minute, you're going to apply this all at the end of our program to design the best tasting cup of coffee that uses the smallest amount of energy. This is a picture of our laboratory space. This is our coffee lab. It's a space that we bring about 2,000 students a year through our general education coffee class, which has been rated the most popular general education class on campus. It's a cool lab experience because unlike normal scientific labs, you don't need to wear a lab jacket and wear gloves. You can eat in here. It's a food grade space. And so this is the space you'll be enjoying if you're a part of our program. Here's just some pictures of students who are enjoying their time in our coffee lab. So what do we have planned for our participants? So we want to have a hands-on experience. So yes, you do a little learning in a lecture format, but you're going to spend a lot of time in our lab. We're going to experiment with techniques and control parameters that impact the quality of coffee. So just some of these experiences include understanding how a drip brewer works. So you're going to be able to rip it apart, track where stuff is flowing, and figure out how that works. You're going to track material energy and develop what's called a process flow diagram and mass balances for coffee. You're going to be able to test the pH of coffee and as a way of analyzing chemical reactions. You're going to be making measurements for the energy that's used to make coffee. You'll be looking at this extraction process and being able to quantify what we call mass transfer and flux during brewing. And you'll be able to experiment with different sorts of brewing methods to look at the effect of pressure-driven flow as you force the water through the coffee grounds, and how filtration affects the quality of your coffee. So you'll have some time to really learn a lot about how coffee is made, and then you're going to learn about design, scale up, and optimization. So we're going to end with a competition where you and your group is going to work against all the other groups in the course to engineer the best tasting cup of coffee while minimizing the amount of energy that you use. And we'll do some other fun things along the way too. We'll take a field trip to an industrial roastery. We're going to go to the greenhouse on campus where they house some coffee plants. And we'll also experience some coffee culture in downtown Davis and compare our experiences. What we hope that you get out of our program. So of course, yes, we want you to get an appreciation for good coffee, and you might end up becoming a coffee snob like me, and an ability to make good coffee for yourself, or at least someone in your life that loves coffee. You'll be able to put into practice in a very fun environment, engineering analysis and design, and maybe hopefully develop an appreciation for this awesome thing we call chemical engineering. And we also, in running these experiments, you'll obtain some cool data, and you'll practice clearly communicating and interpreting your data. I was asked what type of student would like this course. So I think, of course, if you want to learn more about engineering in a fun environment, this course could be for you. Someone who likes to learn by being in the lab and doing and experimenting with things. Someone who would like to practice working in a team environment and working on their teamwork skills. And of course, yes, someone who loves coffee or wants to get into coffee.